Wait until your window.
Well, you all had your feel of it.
Thank you for allowing us to come together to learn more about you and communicate with one another. I pray for those that still may be on their way. I pray for their safe passage so that they may also join in on this lesson that we're hearing tonight. Thank you for the work that you're doing through this congregation. And thank you for the Hardin family, and thank you for putting it on their heart to help lead us in your direction. Thank you again for everything. I pray for a great lesson that we can take into our everyday lives. This is my prayer. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Jeremy. God save it, Brother Stan. The pastor is going to lead us in our closing prayer. Now, we're in Philippians, but I just, in the office on yesterday, was just thinking, I just want to address this lesson, spiritual truths, for those who are tired of dealing with it. You make a list of stuff, death, sickness, disease, marital, family, whatever. And I don't mean this in any negative way. It's in our family. It's in our family at Waterbury. And so I wanted to address it with your input and your insight. Actually, for the duration of this, I think the elders are going to make some decisions on the last two Wednesdays, and they'll follow their lead, of course. But this is so relevant. This is so right now needed. This lesson on spiritual truths, that's what we need, spiritual truths for those who are tired of dealing with it. Maybe that's not the way we would like to put that when we are speaking to one another. Maybe we would like to speak in much more faith-based terms. I can handle it through Christ. I can do all things. But frankly, at the Waterbury Church of Christ, and it is not any different from all churches of Christ, there are those members who are tired of dealing with it, just tired. And so they need a word. So I pray that this will minister. I pray that this will encourage. I pray that this will provide some insight right here.
Before you start, I'd
Yes.
like to ask a question, seeing that the elders are here. Wednesday is Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to have a service on Christmas Eve? No.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Yeah. And I appreciate
Now, I probably would have forgot it later.
I appreciate the elders. That's a family thing that they honor. I was just chilling with Angie. My brother texted me to that confirmation. I'm following, and really, I'm no hero, not. But I was just showing Angie. Oh, that's a good move on their part. But I'll just drop in on that Wednesday, just in case somebody comes in. We're not going to be official, but please don't chew. But I'll just make sure. And so please, you free my time up, not you. I'll make sure I'm here just to be here for a few moments, just to make sure, in case somebody comes. But, I'm sorry. But these spiritual truths are vital. Let's look at this. Let's look at this here. Jesus spoke about, and these are verses that you are well familiar with. We're not teaching you anything new. I think Peter said that he would bring to their knowledge, understanding things that they knew in one of his epistles. But Jesus spoke about the delivering power of knowing the truth. When I'm going through hard times, no. There's a sense in which I can disconnect myself from the whole idea of truth as my deliverance. You know, that seems so theological. That seems so academic, because I'm hurting, man, and you're talking about me delivering truths. Brother, I'm not, I don't want to blame God, curse God, but I'm just not, but the truth is, when Jesus says you shall know the truth and it'll make you free, that means that whatever you are dealing with, there is a God truth that can deliver you through that. So I just have to, but I will acknowledge that I'm in my feelings, not my faith. And you have to understand me in my feelings. My brother talked so well about that composite of soul, body, soul, and spirit. And so we don't deny our feelings, the pathos of our feelings. David's Psalms are very feeling-based, but he always comes back to faith. He always brings it back to faith. But I just have to have somebody remind me. You have to remind somebody, is maybe not on the first visit, the first call, but at some point, Van, you know, this is really about truth, man. It's about the truth you need to know, the truth you need to receive. Because here's what you have to help me understand, that, Van, if you're really invoking God's help, he's coming, but he's never going to leave truth behind. He's never going to abandon truth to say, well, you know, let's just get into whatever you want to feel. He's going to bring me to a truth understanding and a truth appreciation and a truth application. Whatever I'm dealing with, you shall know the truth. Normally we think of that in a more what soteriologic salvation sense. I think it's what he's talking about, salvation, but he's also talking about life experiences. Wouldn't you agree? Whatever I'm dealing with, God says you got to know the truth and the truth. So that means that there is something about suffering that will bring me under captivity, bring me under bondage, bring me under a kind of enslavement to this situation, and I'm not going to be set free from that apart from the truth. So when we speak about spiritual truths, that let's just understand Jesus said truth is the key to your breakthrough, to your deliverance. Not me, not you. Jesus said it. Now, the satanic goal, let's understand this, and we've used this, quite frankly, in life coaching, this material on this kind of thing. We've been here before. It's the very material we've used with people, and I'm sharing it tonight. Is to use what we are going through to take us off the foundation of God's truth. That's the goal of Satan. Job, I'm going to take you off the truth that you can believe God. No, curse him. Joseph and Elijah and Moses, whoever, that he's going to bring you to just step off the firm foundation of truth. Get into situational ethics. Situational ethics. Situational ethics is I define my morality by the situation. So if I have to do something that's less ethical, less righteous, we're talking about situational ethics, Angie. We're not talking about something that you're trying to, maybe that's for you, not for me. I'm fighting. I'm trying to survive here. And so maybe I need to find some remedy. Maybe it's not what I would do in my better days, but it's what I need right now. I'm not advocating that. I'm talking about this is the real stuff that people are dealing with right here.
Yeah, I think that's a dangerous path I don't always do that.
Sure.
I don't always do this, but I'm gonna make this exemption.
Thank you.
I'm gonna, do something just a little different because I don't normally do it.
Thank you so much.
That is deviating from what you're supposed to be.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my brother. It's reality. Now, what is David doing before this king of Gath? That's where the Philistines, that's Goliath country. Man, he's already defeated the giant, but he's tired. He's tired of dealing with Saul's spears. Tired of it. I'm tired, man. There is a day in which you can be strong, and there is a day in which you can be tired. Just tired of being tired. Right here.
Well, the Bible says that our suffering is for a short while.
That's right.
But
That's right.
sometimes we don't think that.
No, it doesn't feel like it. You can, not when I'm going through it.
And it's comparing.
Sure. And we're going to talk about that, but
Sometimes you just want to get out.
yeah, man, what you're talking about, man, that don't help me right now. I'm speaking real. I'm not speaking Bible, because when you talk to me, but we're going to deal with that, because it does seem a long while, and sometimes it is a long while. Sometimes trouble doesn't go away. And Psalmist says sometimes troubles are here to stay, and so you have to learn how to. This ain't going away quickly. Right here, my brother.
Anything that happens to you in life, like as in Job, say you get caught in a fire and your face gets burned.
Sure.
That's a spiritual
Yeah.
hindrance.
Oh, my stars. Oh, my stars.
It's true.
Yeah.
You can't deny it's.
And that sticks with it. That sticks, brother. I mean, really, what you're talking about, that's God. That disfiguration, that's they got maybe some remedies, but maybe not. And what a difference a day make. And now I'm dealing with this. And it affects the whole of me. Maybe I'll catch up and put it in the realm of faith, but not now. Not now. Right here.
Remember also what disfigures us always isn't, can't always see it. Okay. Our people fight it, push it down. It's not visible to the eye,
Wow.
so it's a lot of people carry that too.
My stars. And that needs to be reaffirmed. That needs to be understood. That needs to be not judged, but calculated into how I minister to people, how I minister to them. He says, stand therefore having girded your waist with truth. And if you study the armor, that's the first one out of the gate. He gives this other list. I don't think that's accidental. The helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, your loins girded about. I don't think that girding about, he says, before you go any further, nail truth down. Listen, I was sharing this with a sister some weeks ago. It's not too personal. I won't call her name. But I wanted her to know, not everything, but some things you go through and you come through, you will have truth settled in that issue now. God says, we're going to settle this issue now that you can trust me in this. It's called settled truth. It's settled truth. Like the Supreme Court, a precedent is tried and, truth that's irrevocable. There's a truth that God says, I want to birth out of that experience that you settle in your spirit. This is true. This is true. I know it's true. I'm not even doubting it's true. I'm not even debating that it's true. And you got to bring other things into that category. Now, truth is everything all the time. Think about this statement. Truth is everything all the time. It's never marginal. It's never kind of compartmentalized. And it's God says, man, it's always about truth. Even if you don't really grow up to it, it's always about truth. Don't you ever forget that what you're going through, what you're dealing with, what's coming your way, what you're in, what you're coming out of, where you go, where you grow, it's always about truth. That's why I get you right here. He calls him the Spirit of truth, who will guide you into all truth. Obviously, there's a process. So when do I take truth off the table? What experience, what exposure, what predicament, what trouble, what pain, what pleasure, what blessing, what breakthrough, what disease, what malady, what pathology, what do I say to God? This is not a truth issue. You know the answer to that. I never say that. In my feelings, but not in my faith right here.
Sometimes it's what you decided. That is the truth. If I decide that this is the way forward for me because of all the things that I'm broken by, so I have to follow this path. And unless God shows me another, this is the path. And that spiritual truth will meet itself out if it's true.
Yes, that's right.
And
that's right.
And
that's right.
Following Jesus is always the best path, and other things just get you into trouble.
I thank you for saying that, because he calls himself the truth, the way, the life, the way, the truth, the life, the truth. He calls himself. By the way, my brother, we were blessed to attend this concert that my brother was singing in just last Sunday. It reminds me of years and years ago, there was this great conductor who was really leading out this concerto. I know nothing about that. You know all about it. You and Nick and others who are in. And he was really trying to get these people into one of the great writings of the great composer. And he wanted them to understand the magnitude of getting this right. Beethoven. And he was trying to push them, and he was brash and arrogant, and he would put them down often, just slop them down in the middle of the practice. That's ugly. That's cruel. Go back. I can't believe that you even got in here and made the cut. And he would just give them all. But at the end of the concert, they played wonderfully. True story. And he got out and he said, gentlemen, women, you are nothing. I am nothing. And that was surprising because he didn't really tell. But Beethoven is everything, everything. That's what God says to you about truth. You are nothing in that way of thinking and your feeling. This situation is nothing. Truth is everything.
Settle it within yourself.
You settle it. You come out of it, settled it. Not everything.
It takes time to settle.
And you have settled truths, brother. You've got settled truths. You've got settled truths. Certain things, not everything gives you that level, but certain things you come through, you know what you know now. You know what you know. You know for sure that you know. You know that you know. Now, let's jump into this here. God will not, now, come on, stick with me. God will not put on us more than we can bear is based on 1 Corinthians 10:13. But let's not misread and misunderstand the text now. God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able. Tempted, perasmos, that word is what we use for inward temptations and outward trials. Not a different word, same word. It's not a different Greek word. Sometimes it refers to inward trials, inward temptation, sometimes outward trial. Same word. You got to discover it by context. In this context, study it. First of all, people use it for outward trials, but that's really not the context. Study it now. He talks about those who came under temptation, tempted an enemy, and they didn't stand up. He's really talking about inward temptations, not outward trials. So let's just understand, first of all, when I reference this verse and say, well, God is not going to put him in walking back. Well, unless I'm talking about inward temptations, that's true. He's not going to let the devil tempt me beyond what I'm, but he's not really talking about outward trials. If you study and teach it correctly. Right here.
I mean, if we were, and this maybe is part of the whole in context piece, but I feel like I'm tempted more than I can bear, and that's why I go to God. Like that's why I commune with him and communicate and ask him for help because I cannot do it.
Yes.
Therefore, it's past what I can do. It's taking me beyond what I can handle, and I'm saying, God, I need your help to handle this. So I don't know if that's out of context.
Now you're nailing the truth. You're bringing out the truth. See, that's why we say, first of all, when people say, well, this is the verse I use when I'm going through something in the outward trouble, and God said, not put him on. No, study the context. It's talking about those in the Old Testament who were tempted and tempted to walk away from God, disobey God, inwardly temptation, and they didn't stand the test of that temptation, and they plummeted. But he says, listen, God will give you a way to win over that temptation of the enemy. But I'm going to come back to what my brother said, but when you're speaking about outward troubles and trials, if you want to apply it, when it comes to what you are able, let's know that the faithful and all-wise God is making the choice, not you. You don't get to decide on what you can handle. I don't get that choice. I don't tell you, wait, because I wouldn't handle anything, a toothache, headache, backache, none. I can't handle it. And God said, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I can't handle it. All I do is tell God, I can't handle it. And God's going to stand down. No. He says that he is faithful, and because he knows what you can do in him, not you. And my brother, if it's not too personal, there are things God has taught you as a widow.
So when you say you haven't had enough,
Yeah.
that's the time you should go to him, and that's when he should.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure people have said it many times.
Yeah,
I've had enough.
Yeah, I'm tired. And I would tell God, what list? I mean, be honest now. What do I tell God in trouble? Bring it my way. Bring it on. No. But Jesus even said you can pray that way. When he says, lead us not into temptation, that's that word perasmos. Well, wait a minute. That's not speaking about inward temptation, because you don't have to pray that God not lead you into inward temptation, because God is not tempting you, and neither can he be tempted. So you don't have to ask God, don't tempt me. He's talking about outward trouble. So don't let me be overwhelmed, overtaken by ever. He said that's legitimate. So you don't get up in the morning and bring it on, God. I just want a mountain to fall on me and see how I can handle it. God says, no, you can pray. God, don't bring that. But here it is. Here it is, church. God knows that you can learn in him as a widow. I don't mean any harm. I don't want to learn that. I just want to go before. That's just me. But that's not my call. I'm just being honest. I don't want to learn that. Just being honest. Not being blasphemous. I'm just being honest. You've learned it. I don't want to learn it. I'm sorry. But he's going to teach you how to learn it. Maybe that's just the selfishness of me. Maybe that's just the selfishness, probably. I don't want to learn to live without that lady right there. I don't want to learn that. But some people have learned it. And some people have learned how to live with disfiguration. And some people have learned how to deal with a diagnosis. And some people have learned how to deal with the most God-awful things, because God says, this is what you can handle with me. So when we talk about this word, let's just be sure God will not put on me more than that. It's almost like we are saying that God is going to follow my lead in what I can bear. But God says, man, I'm not going to follow. Man, let me tell you something. Let's get something down packed. I am the leader. You're the follower. I'm not following you anywhere. I'm not. Why would I follow you? Why would the all-knowing, all-wise God, I have to follow you anywhere? I will abide with you, but I'll do the leading. So don't tell people in a misreading of this verse what God will not ask them to grow up to bear, or you're a bad spokesman for God. This couldn't be God. This couldn't be God. This has to be the enemy. But the enemy gets blamed for a lot of stuff today. Even the enemy said, man, I get blamed for everything. Well, rightly so, but certain things are God's way of growing us because we can handle it. Now, let's just teach that properly, what I'm trying to say. Now, second thing is the human tendency to always seek and expect. Now, when I teach like this, with some level of emotion, please don't take that. We feel the pain of each other. Things in our family, I'm not standing on some high horse telling, but no, I struggle with this as well. Don't take the projection as indifference, no. But the human tendency to always seek and expect in this present life clarity of understanding doesn't line up with the clear revelation of Deuteronomy 20 and 29. You know this verse. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong to us. This word secret, Hebrew word sathar, that which is hidden or concealed, like this New Testament word mysterion, mystery. It's not like an Alfred Hitchcock mystery. You know, it's kind of like quirky, you can't understand. No, that's not the word. This is just simply unrevealed, not disclosed. That's all it means. When Paul talks about the mystery of the Gentile, it just means it's not something that's hard to figure out and confusing, complex. No, it's not clear. It's clear when it's revealed. He's just talking about that which God will not make known. Here's the thing. The word of God is provided to reveal, get this now, when you're ministering to people, what we can know and need to know, but God's word and prayer doesn't make us omniscients, all-knowing about every life experience. And maybe God is going to show me what this means. Maybe he will, but not everything. Some things you'll die not knowing why. And I'm not a good spokesman for God if I'm always going to tell you why. Always now. Be careful when somebody always has the answer. When somebody always has the revelation. When somebody always has the insight. In this manual we're providing for life groups, we talk about these personalities. Doubting Thomas. You know, sometimes doubting Thomas will be in the life group and you don't believe in anything. Worrying Martha, you know, we ain't gonna make it out of this. I'm sorry, you know. Then there's this, you know, friends of Job mentality. They know everything. And they'll show up in the life group knowing everything. You know, I know everything. Just listen to me, I'll straighten it out. None of that is true, but there is some things that you will know for sure. And there are other things that, you know what I'm saying. You just don't, I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. You'll probably die not knowing why that thing hit like that, why it went down like that, why that befell you that way. The secret things belong to God. And there are things that God has vouchsafed into himself and said, that's my business. Even when he answered Job, he answered him without answers. The way that Job wanted it. He didn't say, well, Job, let me give, I'm sorry, Job. I know I didn't give you all the details. Let me give you he didn't give him details. He just gave him sovereignty. So he gave. Oh, and Job had to admit, man, this knowledge is too wonderful for me. I mean, that's deeper than me. All God told him is what you would have to say sometimes. Not everything. But as long as God knows, I'll leave it at that. You'll tell somebody that just God knows. Right here, God knows.
I remember when I was substituting, I was in this is after I retired from full-time teaching, but I was in Watertown in a science classroom. And they had a picture on the wall of one human cell. And I was looking at that cell, looking at all the functions, and we have millions of cells. It humbled me so much to know. In fact, I shared it with the teacher, and luckily she was a believer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was a science teacher, but she saw the magnificence
Mm-hmm.
of the human body.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, how can anyone think that this was not
Oh,
the
sure.
universe?
Oh,
And
sure.
so I don't even know if it.
No,
but,
go ahead.
But I guess the secret part of that is that I will never be able to comprehend the power of God
No.
and his brain.
No.
Is it a brain? Is it just, it's
No.
beyond
It's beyond.
anything. And how humbling that was. And she.
I love that, the way you're putting that.
But
Yeah.
I took a picture on my phone, and it's a wonderful reminder.
Thank you for showing that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And that's insightful, my sister. It does remind us of what he says in Romans 11:3. His ways are past finding out. But not all the ways of God. Some of them you can track. Joseph tracked them. Guarantee he wasn't tracking them when he was smelling the dust on the way to Egypt. And his homeland was getting further and further away. I guarantee he wouldn't say, oh, okay, this is what, my brother's going to go. No, he ain't thinking none of that. But he held on to his dream. That's why when he got to Egypt, he acted a certain way because he didn't forget the dream, but he couldn't fill in the details. But later on, after all those years, he gave the details. But sometimes you won't have the details.
Kind of to go along with kind of Nancy's thing, and I think about this a lot. I don't know if people think about this. There are, what, is it 7 billion or 8 billion people?
Yeah, I think that's what they, 8 billion, yeah.
And all of us have something that's different,
Yeah,
and it's our fingerprint.
sure. Isn't that something? Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Every one of them is different.
isn't that something?
It's,
Yeah.
I
And
don't know,
I
it's
appreciate,
in my mind, and
Yeah.
I just said, this
Yeah.
is amazing.
I appreciate our distinctions, but you know, I don't know if you're willing to agree with me. Maybe you say, Van, you kind of out on a limb like that. Well, maybe I am, but I'm not sure. I was sharing with, I don't want to call, but I just want to share. I was sharing with Lucille in the parking lot this past Sunday, just sharing some things with her and affirming her and her trials. I wanted her to know that, is it beyond belief that you are the only Lucille who lost a husband and 2 daughters? Or could you imagine it in all the 6 billion? Lucille, 2 daughters, a husband. I guarantee you God will blow your mind at somebody else's. It's your name going through. But what God wants to be able to say, when they say, this Lucille said I couldn't handle it, but what about that Lucille? She handled it. Seldom are you the only one. What we've got to simply say is, God knows. Now, there's a third thing here. The worst of the worst type of pressures and predicaments and pain, and the pain this causes, get this now, has an ultimate goal to push us toward God, not away from God. I want to say the worst of the worst pain has one goal. Has one goal only. To push you toward God. And the problem is some people, it repels them, repulses them. Would you also go away, Jesus said. It's a hard saying. Are you going to walk back on me? Well, let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace that we may obtain mercy and find help. I want to raise some questions. Come on. What's the significance of the word throne of grace to you? Come on, I'm not trying to but think about, what do they use throne of grace? Throne of grace. I mean, that just seems to be incongruent. Maybe I'm the only one. Throne, rule, reign, law, regulations, authority, grace. That seems to not go together, but he wants you to know that does go together. You coming to the ruler of grace. That goes together. And the devil didn't want you to know that. He wants you to think that the throne is only about law, regulations, rules, writing down the bad stuff on you. No, he calls it the throne of grace. Right here, my brother.
I'm just saying that the one who's on the throne has the power.
The power of grace. And you see, I don't want you, he said, this is the way I want you to see my throne. I don't know about you, but I often see the throne as something I know I better watch out. I better be careful, and you should. Knowing the terror of the Lord, we persuade men. But he says that you shouldn't see my throne as against you, but for you. He calls it the throne of grace. That's a good fit. The throne. Most people out there who are not living right, they don't see the throne as grace. They see the throne as judgment, condemnation. That's why I can't handle it. You got to help them to see it's the throne of grace. Now, why does he use the word come boldly? What's the meaning of that? In your pain, why does he say come boldly? Think about that. Bold with your problem.
It's like saying, if you could help me, God.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, send it.
Boldness is, look,
Yeah.
it's like your daughter coming to you. Bold. I would just want to shout for a moment, knowing that.
Appreciate it a little bit less.
But I mean, knowing that you got her back. Yes, you got her back. Not arrogant. You got her back. You see, like, cause she knows that it's just the way it works. That it is freezing cold in here, and only one can fit in this car. I'm sorry, but that's me. That's my dad. That's bold. You got to be bold about knowing what you can get from God in your worst day. Oh, the devil will tell you all kinds of lies against God. If he loved you, why'd he permit it? That's a lie. But that's the significance of boldly come. Boldly come. That's not cowardly, not beggarly. Why does he use the word mercy and grace? You know where I'm going? What's the word picture there? What I don't deserve. Maybe I got myself into this pickle. Maybe it's me. I mean, our insurance has constantly gone up, not because of Angie, but Angie now has a wreck. I'm glad she does it. Always me, and they keep, I don't know what's going on. I'm almost ready. Angie, come on, I'm gonna sit in the back seat, you're gonna drive. I mean, man, I'm just telling you. But, you know, the thing is, God says, yeah, you did mess up, but there's mercy and grace. What's the pressing urgency of help in time of need? Come now, don't delay. Don't wait. Don't go through your go through and then finally discover you need God or God can help. Now, he goes on to say the rock solid promise of Isaiah 26:3, you will keep in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you. Now, listen to this now. We'll finish this again. Has to be, now this is difficult. I've shared this in one-on-one settings in this session. They weren't in PowerPoint. They were in a handout. But we said here, when God says you will keep in perfect peace whose mind is stayed, that has to be read and received looking into the mirror of the most honest evaluation. That promise. But I'm talking about when I'm going through my go-through. When I'm hurting, when I'm humiliated, when I'm frustrated, when I'm irritated, agitated, all of that stuff. And God is talking about perfect peace and I ain't feeling it. But there's a promise standing right before me. Here it is. You got to evaluate our determination to know what it takes for our mind to be locked in on God. God says, maybe the problem is you, man. I can't get your mind locked in on me. I can't get your mind just stayed on me. You got to look in the mirror reading that verse if you're not feeling it. Secondly, evaluating our understanding to commit to God's way of instilling peace. Maybe his way of instilling peace is leave that alone and let me handle it. You know, Sister Doreen had to go to the doctor this week. I only tell the story because it's so beautiful. So she was making some calls. Sunday, I habitually cut my phone off the silent mode. You know, I put it on silent mode. And I'm telling you, Monday, I come into the office, I go and I forget that it's, and I look, man, I got 3 or 4 calls. Man, it's not ringing, you know. Well, I was one of, she called because she's having some eye issues. She called several other people. Just didn't work out. Finally, when I called her, it worked out. I was able to pick her up from the doctor. Somebody had taken her. But here's what she told me when we was driving home from the doctor. She said, Brother Van, you know, I was calling this one, I was calling that one, and I reached out to you, and it just didn't work. And she said, this is what she said. She said, you know what? God, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get dressed, and you're going to send somebody. Yeah. That's faith. I love that. I'm just going to get dressed. And you know what? I called. What do you need, sis? She said, boy, I'm so glad you called, but I got a ride now. But can you pick me up? I said, I'm on my way. I'll just leave here. Let me know when you're ready. And I'll go by there. Now, here's the thing. She put her mind on Jesus and said, listen, you got this. She literally couldn't, I noticed I was standing with her Sunday and she started blinking in her eye and she sat down and took a glucose pill. I said, oh, what's going on? She said, my eye. She said, and some of your mentions, I just seen like she goes through that, it's a red well, like that's that veins. And she said, it's really where I can't see. So that's the predicament she was in. But she says, I'm just going to get dressed and you're going to send somebody. And God did. Because she kept her mind in perfect peace. So God gave her peace and he worked it out. Now, you've got to evaluate our resistance to stay with the process of a mind locked in. Now, there is a resistance to that. To keeping your mind locked on. Maybe that means more prayer time in the morning, my brother. Maybe that means reading a few more verses on God that week. Maybe that means just asking someone to pray with you that week about keeping your mind. But you've got to make an investment on what this takes. Now, can I share with you one other thing here? I want to leave it with this. We'll come back to this. I call it the over-spiritualizing. That's not a term we want to use often because I don't like the over-spiritual. There's a sense in which you can't be overly spiritual, but that's a different concept. I'm talking about oversimplifying. Maybe that's the better term than spiritualizing. But sometimes we spiritualize it in a way, here it is, of redefining the bad, terrible, and tragic things into the name that's good. Be careful when you're trying to tell somebody that the terrible, bad is good. That's a good thing. There ain't nothing good about that. How do I tell that woman? You've heard me say that her daughter was raped on campus, that's a good thing. What kind of counsel is that from Hades? That's not good. That disease ain't good. Death is even the enemy. Sickness is because of the curse of this world. None of that's good. None of that's right. Slander, misuse, abuse, none of that's good. So God says, man, you don't have to redefine. Stick with the definition. I call it bad. I call it terrible. I call it bad and not good. But wait a minute. Romans 8:28 says we know that all things are good. All things work together for good. That's a difference. So I don't have to tell the Christian everything happens to you is good. That's not true. That's not true at all. God can work it for good, but I'm not being a spokesman for God telling that brother that's a good thing that you had that injury. That's a good thing. That's nothing good. Injury is a part of the fallen world even. There's no injuries in heaven. Now, living in God's purpose doesn't require that we call bad things good. I don't have to call bad things good, Jeremy. I can call them what they are: bad, painful, hurtful, evil, wicked, dark, despicable, hurtful, and a few more words that I can't use in this pulpit that some folks use. We don't advocate that, though. We don't advocate that. Somebody says when I go through, sometimes I get a cursing spirit come on me, and we don't advocate that. That's a different thing now. But living in God's purpose will require that we enter into a season of waiting for God to manifest the good out of the bad. He says, can you wait on me, man? Now I'm going to wait for him to work the bad into something good. And that's what we're waiting on. Hey, there's about 6 or 7 more of these that I want to share. We'll come back to them. Thank you for coming out on this evening. I know Brother Stanley's going to lead us in our closing prayer. And Brother Todd, I'm sure, will have a song for us. And again, we're so thankful for you being with us tonight. Thank you so much.
778.